see there. You can you can speak from here. You can speak from here, and then take questions and answer.
Then I will sit and because I need translation for questions. I will present my speech in English, but question is better to translate because my English is not so fluent.
It's very good.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Fine.
Přijďte, posaďte se. Když tak já se nebudu hezitejtovat se vás zeptat na nějaký slovo.
Budu jak na trní.
Okay. Je to jenom, byste takovou mohli je to trošku oslava toho. Já jsem tam byl nedávno. To neznáš tu historii, já jsem v jejich parlamentě. Já jsem zažil hlavní věci.
Další věc, jak tady máte psáno to reflecting, taky byste mohli říct reflection, místo toho contemplation, to by taky šlo.
Good morning. I'm Mike Van Dusen, the Executive Vice President of the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars, and it's my pleasure to welcome you today's Directors Forum with Mirek Topolanek, leader of the Civic Democratic Party and former Prime Minister of the Czech Republic. It is an honor and privilege for the Woodrow Wilson Center to partner again on this lecture. The Woodrow Wilson Center is 41 years old, serves as the nation's official and living memorial to the 28th President. We are a public-private institution, receiving roughly one-third of our resources from the federal government, but raising two-thirds. The Wilson Center is dedicated to commemorating the ideals and concerns of President Wilson. As the only president the United States has had who had a doctorate, a PhD, Wilson always believed in getting the scholar and policymaker together, the businessman and the journalist, to discuss public policy issues of mutual concern, in the confident hope that from their dialogue, better understanding and better policy could emerge. Mr. Topolanek joins us for the 10th annual Czech and Slovak lecture. This important series was initiated in November 2000 by the Czech and Slovak embassies here in Washington. American Friends of the Czech Republic and Friends of Slovakia were involved from the start. The series commemorates the inspiring struggle for freedom by the Czech and Slovak peoples. And, of course, this year we are commemorating the 20th anniversary of the momentous events of 1989, in particular the Velvet Revolution. Over the last 10 years, the Czech and Slovak lecture series has allowed the Center to host important thinkers and practitioners from or with roots in the region. Among them, Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, Adam Michnik, Václav Klaus, President of the Czech Republic, and Ivan Miklos, the former Slovak Deputy Prime Minister. We greatly appreciate the cooperation of American Friends of the Czech Republic and Friends of Slovakia, as well as the Embassy of the Czech Republic and the Embassy of Slovakia. I would like to recognize Ambassador Peter Gulash of the Czech Republic and Ambassador Peter Burian of the Slovak Republic, as well as Ambassador, I believe, Miodrag Vahovic of Montenegro, who is with us as well. Let me express my thanks to Tom Dine, President of American Friends of the Czech Republic, and an old friend of many of us here at the Center, as well as the Friends' former President, Phil Kasich, and former Ambassador Ted Russell, founding Chairman of Friends of Slovakia, and the organization's Secretary, Julie Slavik. Also, I believe that Daniel Novy, the first Secretary of the Embassy of the Czech Republic, is with us, as well as Daniel Kostoval, the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Embassy of the Czech Republic. And lastly, Andrej Drobja, the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Embassy of Slovakia. All of them have worked hard to make this event today possible, as well as the travel schedule of the former Prime Minister. Let me also thank Elizabeth Zolotkouthina of our European program staff for coordinating this meeting. Our speaker, Mirek Topolanek, graduated from the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering at the University of Technology in Brno, then Czechoslovakia. Between 1998 and 2004, he served as chairman of the Civic Democratic Party Senate Group, and from 2002 to 2004 as deputy chairman of the Czech Senate. He has led the Civic Democratic Party since December 2002 and served as a deputy in the Chamber of Deputies of the Czech Parliament from 2006 to 2009. From 2006 to 2009, he served as Prime Minister of the Czech Republic. And during the historic first Czech Republic's presidency of the European Union in this earlier this year. Mr. Topolanek also served as the European Council President. Allow me to note that this event is being webcast live. Those interested will be able to view the recording online at www.wilsoncenter.org 1 week from today. Prime Minister Topolanek, welcome to the Center. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for welcoming. I have to thank the organizer, to Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars, to organize this regular event every year, and allow me apologize my good friend Alexander Vondra, which was one of the founding father of this event. He couldn't to come this year because he has some family troubles, and my presentation, my speech will be more than celebration of this anniversary, more contemplation of this issue of this anniversary. The Czechs and Slovaks just celebrated the 20-year anniversary of the Velvet Revolution, the 20-year anniversary of the return of freedom and democracy to our lands. Is 20 years long or a short period of time? How far have we moved since then? How much have we changed? Is there any danger of sliding back, or will the Czech and Slovaks never allow to have their liberty taken away? These are questions which we must ask and find answers to. From the viewpoint of more than 200 years of US democracy, the 20 years of the Czech and Slovak democracy must seem to be a mere blink of the eye. But in our modern history, those 2 decades represent the longest period of our real independent, free and democratic existence. The First Republic, our predecessor and model, did not live to celebrate its 20-year anniversary. After the Munich Dictate, which took 30% of its territory, the First Republic was substituted with the fateful Second Republic, an intermediate stage for the descent into bondage of a totalitarian regime. We are thus entering into historically unexplored territory. Our responsibility to our progeny is even greater because we are forming a new democratic tradition. We cannot merely refer to President Masaryk's Czechoslovakia and look therefore a recipe to our contemporary challenges, although we still endorse and must endorse his ideals. But 20 years is too short a period for democracy to reach maturity, to rid itself of childhood diseases, to become engraved in people's subconscious. It still must be warming for us that after 1945, our first republic democrats did not have enough will, courage and strength to stop the coming totalitarianism. After the liberation, we did not take up the first republic, but the second one. Again, it was a time of limited democracy, time of witch hunts, time of collaborators with a foreign power. It was again a mere intermediate step to a new totalitarian regime. We ourselves should be blamed for the communist coup of February 1948. It is no one else's fault but ours. 20 years is de facto just a half-time of the democratic game. This was true in 1938, and it is true now in 2009. A new generation has grown up which did not experience the totalitarianism but could not learn, as the case was with all democracies, from their parents, who would have had also grown up in freedom. And these parents, 20 years down the road, are asking themselves now to what extent their ideas and expectations were fulfilled. The ideas and expectations they had projected and invested into the Velvet Revolution in 1989. These are, in a way, risky times for democracy. Times when natural human doubts and disillusionment, lack of a sufficient counterweight of long democratic development. Times presenting us with a threat from rising populists and demagogues who offer diabolic shortcuts to happiness to all disappointed and impatient people. Times when any unfavorable external circumstances threaten our democratic structure, still so fragile, much more than at the beginning of its building. The willingness to bear responsibility and make sacrifices was much greater in 1989 than at present. After 20 years, people tend to forget that there was ever a totalitarian regime here with all its vices. But they are sensitive and react to problems of the new democracy. Fortunately, a direct nostalgia for communism is not very strong in the Czech Republic. Only very few would like to go back to the old times. That does not mean, however, that people do not miss the false values which the communists used to pound into their heads. It is worrisome that 20 years after the Velvet Revolution, 60% of the citizens wish the government to provide for their happiness. According to them, the government should be stronger, should redistribute even more, should exercise more influence over their lives. This gets reflected in the work of the parliament, which often prefers the state paternalism to civic freedoms and the protection of privacy. This is the main difference between Europe and the United States. No doubt, people here want freedom. In this sense, the victory of the Velvet Revolution is flawless. But not everyone accepts that freedom is inseparably linked to responsibility. Personal responsibility for oneself, one's own life, one's family, and also for the management of public affairs and for freedom, human rights and security in the world. This relationship between freedom and responsibility is crucial for the future of democracy. But it is not valid only for young democracies. Surprisingly, the situation is identically bad in old European democracies. A general decline of responsibility and the will to defend freedom and democracy threatens our civilization more than external enemies do. Fortunately, in 2009, we are living in a different geopolitical reality than in 1938. We are surrounded by friends. As a NATO and EU member, we are enjoying the highest possible guarantees of freedom, security and prosperity. In contrast to the First Republic, we have good hope that our democracy will grow to maturity. That the present generation, which grew up in freedom, will raise up a new, free generation. That our social institutions will get to the level of all democracies, not only in their form, but also in their content. Finally, let me briefly respond to the questions I myself asked at the beginning of my speech. First, 20 years is a period long enough for people to forget communism, but not long enough for democracy to become firmly rooted here. Second, we have walked only half the road since the Velvet Revolution. We have freedom and we appreciate it, but we lack taking more responsibility. We are working democratic institutions, but these institutions alone cannot always guarantee our real protection and respect to individual freedoms. Thirdly, the return of totalitarianism is not a threat at present, mainly due to lack of external conditions, but also due to the social climate. But there is a threat of creeping limitation of liberty. The Communist Party coming back to power and further substitution of personal responsibility with state populism. My answer may sound a bit pessimistic to you, but I myself consider them optimistic. Just the fact that these questions can be asked is the proof of the great change brought about by the Velvet Revolution, a change in our private as well as in public life. This change can be described by one simple word: freedom. I can still remember well that some 25 years ago we lived in a completely different world. The world which had been predicted with chilly precision by George Orwell. Indeed, 1984 was not only a fiction for us then. For us, on the wrong side of the Iron Curtain, it was a cruel, cruel reality. Nevertheless, the belief that one of the slogans of the Big Brother's dictatorship, freedom is slavery, will never be valid again, fills me with optimism for the future. And this truly is in our grasp. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. He has agreed very kindly to answer some questions. The floor is open. I ask you to identify yourself and stay away from speeches, but make a comment and ask a question. The floor is open. Tom, the microphone's going to come to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Do you look back? You mentioned in your speech the potential rise again of the Communist Party and communist politicians. Do you and your colleagues in Prague regret that you didn't go through a Truth and Reconciliation Council, a cleansing, if you will, of the past in order to go into the future?
To vůbec není lehká otázka.
This question is far easy to answer.
Mně se na to odpovídá o to hůř, že já jsem po sametové revoluci neměl tu odpovědnost a nebyl jsem v tom prvním establishmentu, který mohl zakázat komunistickou stranu.
And it's even harder for me to answer to your questions because I wasn't a member of the first administration that would have a power to actually ban Communist Party.
Myslím si, že dnes už to není úplně možné.
I don't think it's possible really in these days.
Můžeme se pokusit zakázat jejich symboly.
We can try to ban their symbols.
Ale bojím se, že ani tento fakt neprojde současným českým parlamentem.
But I don't think that we would have enough votes in the Czech parliament to pass that.
Já si myslím, že každá země se vyrovnává se svou minulostí jinak.
I think that each country deals with its history, with its past differently.
V Německu zřídili Gauckův úřad a poměrně velmi ostře se vypořádávali s tím totalitárním režimem ve východním Německu.
In Germany, they established Gauck's office and they dealt very harshly with the totalitarian regime in the former East Germany.
Zdaleka ne tak důsledně postupovali v rámci denacifikace po druhé světové válce.
They didn't go that strictly during the denazification after the Second World War.
Ve Španělsku po odchodu Franka se nezměnilo skoro nic. Ti lidé odložili ty černé frankistické kabáty a dále chodili do svých úřadů.
Nothing really changed after Franco was stripped of his power in Spain. People just put aside their black Frank-like coats and they kept going to the same offices.
Vyřešil to čas.
Time took care of that.
V České republice se teprve v loňském nebo v předloňském roce za mé vlády podařilo prosadit podobný úřad, jako je ten Gaukův.
In the Czech Republic, it was only 2 years ago when I was prime minister that we managed to establish similar office as that in Germany, the Gauck's office.
Češi mají za sebou 2 totality, 50 let s malou přestávkou po druhé válce a každá je poznamenala.
The Czechs actually lived through 2 totalitarian regimes with a short break after the Second World War. It took 50 years and it took its toll.
Já nejsem pro čistky a pro uplatňování práva oko za oko, zub za zub.
I am not for purges and I am against eye for eye, tooth for tooth rule.
Mě vadí samozřejmě krátká paměť těch lidí, kteří v Česku žijou.
But I don't like short memory of people in the Czech Republic.
Přestalo jim vadit, že na klíčových místech sedí bývalí komunisté.
They stopped worrying that actually key positions are again occupied by former communists.
Dokonce jim přestává vadit, že někdo byl spojen se státní tajnou bezpečností.
And people even don't mind that somebody was connected with the former secret communist police, STB.
Nicméně nám se podařilo, přestože ten zákon lustrační je trochu nedemokratický, tak se nám ho podařilo udržet po celých těch 20 let.
Even though our screening or lustration law is not perfectly democratic, we really managed to keep it for 20 years.
Což znamená, že aspoň na rozhodující státní funkce nemohou nastoupit lidé spojeni s minulým režimem.
Which means that at least in the key administrative positions in the government, people who were connected with the previous regime are banned from those positions.
Ten zákon je permanentně pod velkým tlakem. Celé levice, mimochodem ani Václav Havel s tím nebyl spokojený.
The law is permanently under the pressure of the left-wing politicians. By the way, even Václav Havel wasn't very happy about this law.
Dodnes se nepodařilo přes náš tlak uznat třetí odboj protikomunistický.
Even in spite of our pressure, we didn't manage to recognize so-called third resistance against communism, at least not fully.
To, že jsem vyznamenal mašíny, tak bylo u nás vnímáno téměř jako vlastizrada.
Since I gave an award to Machine's brother, it was taken as a treason against the state.
Přesto přece všechno jsem mírný optimista.
In spite of that, I am slightly optimistic.
Bude to trvat 2 generace a to nejméně.
It will take at least 2 generations.
Jak to řekl Masaryk, naše země potřebuje 50 let nepřerušeného demokratického vývoje a nedostala je.
I would like to quote Masaryk, who said our country needs 50 years of continuous democratic development and we didn't have that so far.
Máme za sebou 20, to je jedna generace, která už se narodila fakticky po revoluci.
We have 20 years so far, which means 1 generation that was born after the revolution.
Ti lidé cestují a studují po celém světě.
Those people travel and study all over the world.
Vracejí se domů a mají úplně jiné preference.
They come back home and they have completely different preferences.
A následující generace, co přijde po nich, to bude mít ještě v tomto jednodušší.
It will be even easier for the next generation that will come after this one.
A naše jediná odpovědnost, kterou máme, je ty praktiky, na kterých fungoval komunistický režim, jakým způsobem uplatňoval svoji moc, ty informace přenést na ty mladé generace.
And we are actually, our responsibility is to teach that young generation about the practices that communists used to kind of distort them and pressure them.
Mladá generace u nás je, já bych řekl, když to řeknu hodnotově, jednoznačně liberálně konzervativní, v tom smyslu evropském, je určitě více pravicová.
And our young generation is actually more liberal in European terms. It means more conservative and more right politically oriented.
Všechny průzkumy tomu nasvědčují.
All opinion polls support that.
Jestliže pouze 47% lidí u nás si myslí, že těch posledních 20 let jsou nejlepší léta v historii, tak převážná většina z těch 47% jsou mladí lidé.
47% of population answered in opinion poll that last 20 years was the best part of the Czech history. However, most of those 47% of respondents were young people.
Rozumím té otázce, nicméně pokud nebyla komunistická strana zakázána okamžitě po revoluci, tak dneska už to v podstatě není prosaditelné, bohužel.
I understand your question. However, since Communist Party wasn't banned immediately after the revolution, unfortunately it's not possible anymore.
Já vím, že jsou další dotazy, ale ono to se opakuje. Já si myslím, že ta situace v těch okolních zemích, kde komunistická strana jakoby není, ona se transformovala do těch moderních sociálních demokracií, v tomto ohledu není lepší.
And I know that is kind of repetitive, but I would like to point out that in the surrounding countries, when there is not really a communist party, but the communist party kind of transformed into social democratic parties, the situation is not better.
Takže je diskutabilní, jestli je lepší na ně vidět, na ty komunisty, anebo je těžce hledat v těch ostatních stranách.
So the question is whether it's better to actually see the communists directly or kind of search for them in other parties.
V Česku je dokonce jeden vtip, takový hodně černý humor.
There is even a Czech joke about it. It's quite a black humor.
Koho budeš volit?
Who are you going to vote for?
No komunisty.
Well, communists.
A v které straně?
And in which party?
Some people do that here too. There's a question in the back row in the corner.
Dobrý den, já jsem Vít Pohanka z Českého rozhlasu, ale z úcty k pořadatelům se zeptám anglicky. I'm a Czech radio correspondent here in Washington, D.C. My name is Vít Pohanka, but I've got a question as a Czech citizen with some experience in small business from the early 90s. Back in 1993, I started a small business in Ostrava, actually not far from your hometown, I believe. And we did language courses for companies with a friend of mine. And you know, it was a great success, and we started in September that year. By the end of the year, we had a profit of over 1 million crowns, which is, you know, a lot of less in dollars. Nevertheless, we were very proud. We were young, you know, we had a great party and everything. But then came the taxes. And because our company was a limited company, we had to pay the corporate tax, which at that time was 45%. Then we divided the rest, and after paying the health insurance, social security, we ended up with 100,000 crowns each, which was kind of a meager result, in my view. And that was in the time when, you know, there were articles in international media about wild capitalism roaming through Czech Republic and Eastern Europe, etc. But our experience was that we were still living in a kind of socialistic state. Now, let me go a little bit further. When I became a journalist, 2002, I was at a pre-election meeting of then chairman of Civic Democratic Party, Václav Klaus, and then your party member, Mr. Tlustý, who introduced the flat tax proposal program, 15% flat tax on everything.
Nenavrhl.
No, he didn't propose that.
It was a program. It was a pre-election program. We all know how it ended up. I mean, the flat tax, there just wasn't enough political will, I think, in the parliament. Or was there? I mean, to go through that.
Ptáte se na rovnou daň.
I'm just mentioning this as another kind of indication that
kolik máte času, jak vám udělá přednášku o daních?
How much time do you have so as I can give you a lecture on taxes?
Let's go straight to the point. Do you think that if someone starts a small business of the kind that we did with a friend of mine, I know that the corporate tax is now significantly lower than it was in the early 90s. But how far do you think the Czech society actually traveled in the kind of, you know, free enterprise area rather than only the political one and, you know, getting rid of the communist heritage? Thank you.
Kolik máme času?
How much time do we have?
Já jsem taky začal svůj biznis v 91. roce.
I also started my business in 1990.
Za rok 92 jsme měli obrat 54 milionů.
Our revenue in 2002 was 54 million korunas.
Za rok 93 jsme měli obrat 160 milionů.
93 our revenues was 160 million.
A za rok 95 jsme měli obrat 650 milionů.
And in 95 it was 650 million.
A měl jsem 430 zaměstnanců jednu dobu.
And I employed at certain point 430 people.
Na své podnikání jsem si půjčil 20 000 korun.
I borrowed to start it 20,000 korunas.
To byly časy grinderského kapitalismu.
These were the times of grinder capitalism.
Ty peníze ležely na ulici.
The money was in the street to pick up.
Dneska je ten trh saturovaný a v tomto smyslu už se nikdy nebude opakovat situace 90. let.
These days the market is quite saturated and the situation that was in 1990 will never repeat.
Byla to doba her a malin nezralých, se říká česky.
It was a time of playing and raspberry that were far from ripe. This is a Czech saying that doesn't translate it well.
Já z té doby si to pamatuju velmi dobře. My jsme nepotřebovali žádnou státní pomoc.
I remember these times very well. We really didn't need any help from the government.
Nemám pocit, že by ty zákony, o kterých se říkalo, že jsou děravé, byly horší jak dnes.
I don't think that the laws that you refer to with loopholes would be worse than they are these days.
K těm daním můj první úvěr byl za 19%.
Just going back to taxes, my first credit was for the rate 19.19%.
19 was terrible. Musím říct, že možná jste to už zapomněl, ale tehdy byly korporátní daně 34%.
You might have forgotten that, but at these times corporate taxes were 34%
Od
in the
příštího
beginning.
roku, pokud se nic nezmění, budou 19%.
Next year, unless the situation changes, they should be 19%.
A personal income tax je rovná daň.
And personal income tax is a flat tax.
Ten koncept, který vymysleli, nevím, na které americké univerzitě pan Hall a pan Rabuška, nikdy nehovořil o ničem jiném, než o jedné sazbě pro daně pro fyzické osoby.
I don't know which American university it was, but it was Mr. Hall and Rabushka, and they talk about just one flat rate for physical entities.
U nás to bohužel není těch 15, je to fakticky 22 a něco.
Sorry, for private entities. In Czech Republic, unfortunately, it is not 15, it's 22 plus.
Přesto dnešní levicový establishment a dnešní levicový parlament bude chtít zavést novou progresi.
However, in spite of that, the current left-wing establishment and parliament is trying to establish a progressive taxes.
Ty daně nejsou problematické svojí sazbou, stejně nikdo dnes v krizi neplatí.
The rate of the taxes is not the issue. Nobody pays taxes in the crisis anyway.
Je to dáno obrovským množstvím výjimek, daňových úlev, odpočitelných položek, to znamená komplikovanosti těch daní.
The problem is too many exceptions, too many deductibles and basically a very complex tax law.
A primárně cenou práce.
And also primary by the price of labor.
To znamená, více jak daně trápí české podnikatele, cena práce, sociální a zdravotní pojištění.
So what's biggest headache for the Czech entrepreneurs is not taxes, but the price of labor. It would be social security and healthcare.
Mluvit o deficitu státního rozpočtu v Americe, kde letos to bude 9%, na příští rok 12%, je skoro nesmyslné.
To talk about deficit the labor of the market labor in the USA.
Deficit of budget.
Budget deficit in the United States, where it's currently 9% and is going to rise to 12% next year, wouldn't make much sense.
Maybe better deficit of public finance, public budgets. U nás se podaří snad dostat na 5,5% v době nejhorší ekonomické krize od 30. let minulého století.
We will probably manage to get it down to 5.5% during the period of the worst recession from 1930s.
V této situaci mluvit o snižování daní je prostě naprosto nesmyslné.
It doesn't make much sense to talk about lowering taxes under current circumstances.
Budeme jako psi obranáři bránit dosažené mety.
As vicious dogs, we will guard what we achieved so far.
Já si myslím, že nás čeká do voleb v příštím roce ještě mnoho ztrát v této oblasti.
I feel we will encounter many losses in this area until the next election, which is due in the spring.
Pro americké publikum je to neúplně zajímavá diskuze, ale pokusím se velmi krátce popsat ty problémy.
Maybe the discussion won't be that interesting for the American audience, but I will try to describe it very shortly.
Malí podnikatelé v Česku nejsou ohroženi daněmi.
Small business owners in the Czech Republic are not endangered or threatened by taxes.
Zhruba 300 až 400 tisíc těch malých podnikatelů, živnostníků je ohroženo ve vlastní živnosti, ve vlastní existenci.
Actually, 300,000 to 400,000 of those small business owners are threatened. Their own business is under threat.
Je už daně nezajímají.
They don't care about taxes anymore.
Byrokracie narůstá stejně ještě o něco rychleji, než se daří prostě regulovat nebo deregulovat prostě.
The bureaucracy is actually growing faster than the trend to deregulate it.
Dneska začít dělat malý biznis je opravdu velké dobrodružství.
It's a great adventure to try to start a small business.
To ale není typický problém České republiky.
But this is not typical just for the Czech Republic.
To je problém celé Evropské unie.
This is the problem of the whole EU.
Bohužel se obávám, že dneska i Spojených států amerických.
And I'm afraid in these days this might apply to United States as well.
To znamená takový ten tlak na státní podpory, státní dotace, cash for clunkers, prostě všechny tyhle deformace, které přestávají věřit trhu, které přestávají věřit v liberální kapitalismus, tak jsou bohužel dnes celosvětovým znakem.
Unfortunately, all of these subsidies, cash for clunkers programs and similar, that basically distort the market and don't believe in the market as a solution are not the problem just here, but all over the world.
To je diskuze, čím začala ta krize.
And there is a discussion what triggered the recession.
To přece nebylo selhání finančních trhů.
It wasn't the failure of the financial markets.
To bylo selhání vlád, států, politiků.
It was the failure of the governments, states, politicians.
Celý program hypoteční přece za Clintona začal naprosto nesmyslným prohlášením, že každý má právo na své vlastnické bydlení.
The whole mortgage program started in a nonsensical statement under President Clinton that everybody is entitled of his or her own house.
Pokud Američané nepochopí, že budou muset více šetřit a méně utrácet a Číňani, že musí více utrácet a méně šetřit, tak se na světě nic nezmění. Prostě ta disbalance bude pořád vlastně celý ten ekonomický svět ovlivňovat negativně.
Unless the Americans will understand that they need to save more and spend less, and the Chinese will understand that they need to spend more and save less, this disbalance won't be solved and it will exist.
Ta party skončila.
The party is over.
V Praze se stavěly domy, o kterých se nevědělo, k čemu budou.
Buildings were erected in Prague and nobody knew what they will be going to be used for.
A všichni na to půjčovali.
And everybody loaned money for that.
To znamená, teď se vracíme do normálu.
And now we are coming back to normal.
A ta pachuť zůstane.
But there is a strange aftertaste.
Party is over.
I have two other questions that we might try and get to. Dr. Andrew Mikta.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Andrew Mikta, Wilson Center scholar. Could I ask you a question about foreign affairs for a change, relating to what you said about the younger generation? Pew Global Attitudes project demonstrated in the study running from 2000 to 2008 that there's been a tremendous decline in positive perceptions of America across Europe, and giving different explanations for that. How do you see the younger generation in your country looking at the United States today, and especially in light of what transpired with our decision to cancel the radar installations in your country? Thank you.
Já musím říct, že je to méně problém České republiky než okolí České republiky a je to méně problém střední Evropy než problém Evropy jako takové.
I would like to point out that it's actually less problem of the Czech Republic but more of its neighbors, and less problem of Central Europe but more of Europe as such.
Antiamerikanismus v Evropě pochází ze zcela jiných zemí než je Česká republika a střední Evropa.
Anti-Americanism actually recruits in Europe from other countries than Czech Republic and Central Europe.
A já bych řekl, že je hodně dán určitou rivalitou. Ta francouzsko-německá mašina se prostě chová tak, jak se chová, a ten problém antiamerikanismu není typický problém České republiky a českých občanů.
And anti-Americanism is not a typical problem of Czech Republic and Czech citizens, but rather of that French-German machinery and its behavior.
Přesto máte pravdu v tom, že to, co po sametové revoluci bylo normální, kdy Američani byli bráni díky Ronaldu Reaganovi a Britové díky Margaret Thatcher jako vlastně osvoboditelé od komunismu, tak to už je pryč.
But you are right that what happened after the Velvet Revolution, that Americans, thanks to Ronald Reagan, and Britain, thanks to Margaret Thatcher, were viewed as liberators from communism, these sentiments are gone.
Ta otázka radaru, tam se neprojevoval možná primárně antiamerikanismus v té podobě, jak se na ní ptáte. To byla spíš typická česká vlastnost, co tě nepálí, nehas.
The question of the radar, it wasn't really an issue of anti-Americanism, but it was kind of none of my problems attitude.
Jak se to přeložil?
To není vůbec můj problém.
Aha, co tě nepálí, nehas. It's very difficult to translate. It's a typical Czech verb.
The literal translation would be, if it is not burning, you don't try to extinguish it.
To, co v Evropě je dnes standardní, to je malá vůle k obraně.
What's quite standard in Europe is a lack of will for defense.
Poměrně velká pátá kolona komunistů, postkomunistů a obecně levice, která byla před revolucí spojena se Sovětským svazem a s tehdejším vlastně establishmentem v Rusku.
And there is a quite strong fifth column in the Czech lands of communists, post-communist and left-wing politicians that were connected with Soviet Union and its establishment.
Rozsáhlá činnost zpravodajských služeb na českém území, ruských služeb.
Quite active intelligence services, Russian intelligence services on the Czech territory.
Rozsáhlá propaganda.
Strong propaganda.
A samozřejmě možná i neschopnost elit tu věc vysvětlit.
And lack of ability of elites to explain that.
To, že se nakonec Obamova administrativa rozhodla, jak se rozhodla, má v zásadě 3 důvody.
There are 3 reasons for Obama's administration decision about radar.
Tím prvním je určitá změna zahraničně politické doktríny, kterou já osobně pokládám za chybnou, a to je více vyjednávat a méně konat.
First would be the change in the foreign policy doctrine. I personally think it's a mistake, and that would be negotiate more, act less.
Ukazuje se, že s Iránem se vyjednávat moc nedá. To už se ukázalo velice rychle.
We can see that it's not possible to negotiate with Iran.
S Ruskem se vyjednávat musí a nesmí to být z pozice toho, kdo ustupuje.
It is possible to negotiate from Russia, but it's not possible from the position of somebody who is kind of giving up.
Ten druhý důvod, ten pokládám za pochopitelný a třeba Ellen Tauscher to signalizovala už během svého působení v čele, to byl výbor pro bezpečnost v Kongresu, jiné technické řešení.
Ellen Tauscher, when she was member of the Defense Committee of Congress, pointed out the second reason, and that would be a different technical solution.
Preference fakticky obrany proti raketám krátkého středního doletu a řekl bych posunutí z hlediska času toho problému raket dlouhého doletu.
That would be basically more focus on defense against short and medium range missile and giving more time to those of long range missiles.
Spíše mobilní umístění interceptoru a jiné řešení té, řekl bych, rekognoskace těch senzorů.
And having different more mobile interceptors and
senzorů, jako radarů.
And sensors for radar.
Ten třetí důvod je ale nejvážnější.
The third reason is the most serious one.
A to je nestabilita v České republice.
And that's the lack of stability in the Czech Republic.
Země, která během předsednictví zhodí svoji vládu, která není schopna uspořádat volby, řekl bych opravdu v dané chvíli nebyla tím teritoriem, kde by Američané chtěli působit. Což je samozřejmě smutný příběh.
The country that actually gives a vote of no confidence to its government in the middle of its chairmanship of EU and that is not able to organize its election is not a country that probably Americans would trust to have that. It's sad, but that's the way it is.
Když budu velmi upřímný, my jsme během letošního roku, který byl jedním z nejhorších v tom 20 letce, ztratili pozice, které se předtím 20 let budovali. A to jak v Evropě, tak v Americe.
To be quite sincere, during this year, which was probably the worst during the 20 years, we lost the positions that we built both here and in the United States.
O to víc si vážím samozřejmě American Friends a jejich činnosti a bude nás čekat ještě hodně práce.
The more I appreciate the American Friends and its activity, but we have a long way to go.
Takže ten antiamerický postoj není v Česku tradiční.
So the anti-Americanism is not traditional in the Czech lands.
A kdyby generál Patton tu línii na línii Plzeň, Rokycany, Klatovy posunul někde za Užgorod, jo, tak bychom dneska byli šťastnější.
And had General Patton managed to move that line alongside Pilsner, Rokycany and Klatovy somewhere close to Užgorod, we would be much happier these days.
One question here, and then, yeah.
Leonard Olander. I will not ask you for your views on the American political or policy events during the current administration, but I will ask your views on Czech citizens' attention to and awareness of the debate in the United States about American expanded government and government authority in the direction of public's reliance on government in its daily survival.
Já tomu rozumím. Tak já jsem vždycky uznával americký leadership v otázkách bezpečnostních a obranných.
I always respected American leadership in the issues of defense.
Myslím, že jsem na to téma měl loni nebo předloni tady poměrně velkou přednášku.
2 years ago I had a quite big lecture on this topic.
Rozšiřování státu a státního paternalismu a toho, co se dnes děje na celém světě, je samozřejmě výkyv, který se během té krize dal očekávat.
The expansion of state powers and state paternalism all over the world is a kind of swing of the pendulum that could have been expected under current situation.
Pokud budeme věřit, že existuje nějaká exit strategy, tak budeme klidnější.
If we can believe that there is some exit strategy, we would be calmer.
Můj známý výrok, který samozřejmě byl hodně zkreslen, který mě dostal jako prvního českého politika v jeden den na titulky Washington Post, Wall Street Journal a Financial Times, je přesný. Ten je přesný.
One of my statements that was quite distorted and they then managed actually to land me on the first page of Washington Post, Financial Times and Wall Street Journal is quite accurate.
Pokud by se jednotlivé ekonomiky zapouzdřovaly, uzavíraly, pokud by začali opravdu realizovat program, jako je Buy American, pokud by pouze intervenovali veřejnými státními penězmi do ekonomiky, tak to je cesta do pekel.
If the economy starts closing, if they start programs like Buy American, if they do public intervention, this is a highway to hell.
Já jsem to řekl po návštěvě koncertu AC/DC, což je jejich titulní písnička Highway to Hell, takže mi to utkvělo v paměti a v tom Evropském parlamentu jsem to slovo použil.
I mentioned it after I attended a concert of AC/DC rock group and that was their main song. It somehow stuck in my head and I used it in European Parliament.
Musím říct, že americká ekonomika vykazuje jakási malá růstová tempa, ale analytici s velkými obavami pořád sledují vlastně to, co je uvnitř, co vlastně způsobilo ten růst.
It is true that there is small growth rate in the United States. However, analysts are kind of little bit concerned and trying to figure out why is that growth happening.
Ode mě nemůže nikdo očekávat, že budu podporovat státní intervence.
Nobody could expect me to support public interventions.
Někdo to bude muset zaplatit.
Somebody will have to pay for that.
Myslím si, že dlouhodobě je neudržitelné mít veřejné finance v takovém stavu, jako je dneska i v Americe běžné.
And I don't think it's actually possible to keep this level of public intervention the way it's happening currently in the United States.
A nezaměstnanost, ta sledovaná i ta dobrovolná, je 17% v Americe.
And the unemployment, when you combine those that monitor plus voluntarily, is 17% in the United States.
To je přece strašné.
That's horrible.
To znamená, že Ameriku čeká hodně práce a od toho, jak to půjde v Americe, to půjde ve zbytku světa.
So there is a lot of work for the United States, and the way it's going to develop in the United States, it will influence how it's going to develop in the rest of the world.
Pat Lehman Brothers postihl posledního pekaře ve Slezských Kravařích.
The fall of Lehman Brothers actually had impact on the last baker in Slezské Silesian Kravaře.
Já jsem měl to štěstí asi jako první a poslední český politik, že jsem byl aktivně účasten na G20, tehdy v Londýně.
I had that good luck that as the first and probably last Czech politicians I was actively involved in G20 in London.
To byl ten souboj, jestli více regulovat nebo více, řekl bych, supportovat a injektovat tu ekonomiku.
It was actually the struggle between should we regulate more or should we support economy more and maybe make some injections into it.
Obávám se, že došlo k hrůzné kombinaci obého.
I'm afraid that the result was a horrendous combination of both.
Nevím, co nás čeká.
I don't know what we are facing.
Ten postupný a velmi opatrné oživení té ekonomiky určitě to nepůjde rychle. Určitě jak jsem mluvil o té party, do té situace se už nevrátíme a doufejme, že se do ní nevrátíme.
That gradual and cautious revival of the economy will be very slow, and as I mentioned, the party is over before. I hope we will never get back to the situation like that.
Prostě ekonomiku tlačit virtuálníma penězma, v podstatě naprosto uměle, se ukáže zpětně, ten trest přišel úplně zákonitě.
It is not possible to push economy with virtual money and the punishment will come as a matter of fact.
To znamená, klíčové slovo budoucnosti je obezřetnost.
So the key word for the future is to be cautious.
Což jde proti zájmům té administrativy, která chce vybudit domácí spotřebu samozřejmě.
Which goes against the interest of the administration that is trying to revive domestic consumption.
Utrácejte, kupujte americké zboží, utrácejte.
Spend your money, buy American.
Musím říct, že je to opravdu složitá situace.
The situation is quite complicated.
A stát, čím více do toho bude plést stát, a tím to bude horší.
And the more is government going to get involved, the worse the situation will get.
Takže uvidíme, no.
We'll see.
Já jsem trochu skeptický.
I'm rather skeptical.
There's a message here for both from a Czech politician for both Americans and Chinese. Americans need to save more and the Chinese need to spend more. Remember that. I'd like to invite Tom Dine and Phil Kasich of the American Friends of the Czech Republic and Ambassador Russell and Julie Slavik of the Friends of Slovakia up here. They have a presentation they want to make to Mirek Topolanek.
Wow.
Should I stood up or sit?
What? No, stand up.
Stand up.
Yeah, I think we'll. And maybe in front of the flags.
Mr. Prime Minister, first of all, I want to thank you for such a thoughtful and thought-provoking conversation this morning. I didn't realize you were a Republican. But you don't vote. So I've told you where I come from. We at the American Friends of the Czech Republic want to give you a certificate of appreciation and thank you for giving us your lecture. And secondly, I would like to thank you for your generosity. We provided you a check for this lecture, and you in turn gave it back to the American Friends of the Czech Republic so we could help fund a major project that we have going on now, which is to talk about the 28th President of the United States. We are rebuilding a monument that the Nazis tore down of Woodrow Wilson. And in my particular way of looking at it, we have established a twinning. Masaryk is on Massachusetts Avenue, and Wilson is across the street from the main railroad station in Prague on, appropriately, Wilsonova. So thank you very much.
On behalf of Friends of Slovakia, Julie Slavik and I would like to present a medal to the Minister, the Friends of Slovakia Medal of Honor. and we are presenting this for your consistent support for the ideals of the Velvet Revolution, and particularly the linking of freedom with responsibility. I might also add, since Tom Dine has mentioned it, that Friends of Slovakia is also contributing to that statue.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, let me remark several sentences. I will try it in English, but my English is terrible. I appreciate this award. In fact, I long-term wanted to have a star in the flag, but I wanted u těch hvězd, že jsem chtěl blízko. Not so far from these stars have strips, but it's not possible, unfortunately. Yeah. Secondly, Woodrow Wilson was one of the founding father of Czechoslovakia, you know it, and we appreciate his influence after the First World War and his share in establishing of Czechoslovakia, former Czechoslovakia, and I appreciate this award too. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for being here at the Woodrow Wilson Center. You're welcome at any time. I hope you'll come back. Thank you for being here.
Proč je to vlastně nemožné? Why it is impossible? I think it's possible.
Good to see you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Are you going back tomorrow?
No. I will stay to Friday and I will go to Miami
yes,
to discuss
Miami.
this.
Miami.